All right, welcome back to quarter number 3, leadership. And we're going to switch the flip right now. We're going to flip it. And we're going to talk a little about your career, a little about your business and your vision. Why? Is because today's message on leadership and where you're at with the leadership, I want to challenge you to think about leadership and what you're doing to lead other people, personally or professionally. And today, specifically, leading through vision and not fear. How do you lead through vision and not fear? Right? We want to make sure, and how can I encourage you to set a clear vision for your business or your team? Or if you're on a team, how can you be part of a mission and vision that is designed to change your company, your industry, your customers, your clients, your members, your city, your jurisdiction, your province, your state, your country, so that rather than reacting to challenges with anxiety or short-term fixes, we can look at vision. See, many times, and I just got done with a coaching session after the fitness sessions I was coaching, I had a 90-minute life coaching session. And this area I want to share today is exactly what this very successful, high-level entrepreneur wants to do. Too much time in the weeds doing things that he could hire a $24 an hour job doing some of the weed work while he's focusing on some more meaningful level 2 tasks. These are important tasks, not urgent tasks, right? So all of us have to deal with our 4 different quadrants of the day. Quadrant 2 are the things that we do that are most important, the needle movers, if you will. So if you're living in fear, here's what's going to happen. And I've got 5 things down that fear will do. Fear is going to stifle growth. Does anyone want to stifle growth? Anyone? Anyone? No, because there is no one in our ecosystem, in this community that's listening in, that wants to stifle growth. Fear will do that. Number 2, fear will have people playing scared and tight. I don't want you playing tight. We need to play loose. We need to be immersed so that the movement is just like a dance, like a flow. It's no different in business. It's getting that flow. And we don't want to be living and working and operating in fear. So fear is going to have people playing scared and tight. Not a good thing. It also, in number 3, fear will cause anxiety and beget more fear. Fear will create more anxiety and cause anxiety and beget more fear. Now, have you ever had any anxiety? It's not a good feeling. And if you haven't, I know everyone has at least experienced angst. You have angst because it's a Sunday night going into Monday and you got a big Monday or a busy week. You get a little angst. Well, how do we reduce that angst and how do we reduce any anxiety because of built up angst? Because built up angst, which leads to anxiety, can beget more fear because you start fearing the things that aren't even real. Is it false evidence appearing real? Is it false evidence appearing real? Or is it face everything and rise? Fear, the acronym face everything and rise, is much better than, hey, false evidence appearing real, because you start worrying about all of the things that are robbing you of being your best self. And how many times do you hear, like, do not worry? Well, it's easy. Hey, don't worry. There's scripture verse on don't worry. There's countless books on don't worry. But I like to combat worry with the exact opposite of worry and fear, and focusing more on gratitude, love, abundance, manifestation, on these things that, hey, if you have fear in you, well, the opposite of fear is love. So how do we fall and do more of the things that we love to do? Number 4, fear will not allow for your maximum growth. So I do believe that a certain amount of fear in your life can be healthy to promote growth, because being a little scared is good sometimes to get your tail back on track. Because listen, maybe life is pretty good. Maybe you are doing well financially. Awesome. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Please enjoy that. But what if it's to the point where you're not really fully living full tilt out because you're like, man, I don't have to do this. I would like to, I want to, But do you have to? Think about when you started your business or you started your career and how hungry you were and what you would do. Have you fallen into the trap of not having that same hunger that you had in the beginning? That's not a good thing. So when you find a deep-seated purpose that's going to drive you to look forward and not rest on your own laurels, well, that's going to allow for maximum growth. And fear can kill your maximum growth. And lastly, fear will paralyze you. Fear will paralyze you. Have you ever been in a situation in your life that has actually paralyzed you? And maybe not literally, but maybe figuratively it has. Maybe you've gone through a significant loss. Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's a spouse, or heck, even a son or daughter. And God bless y'all who've been through significant losses as well. But when you think about fear will paralyze you, what I want to make sure is that you do not live in fear, but you live so that the fear may become fuel to propel your greatest goals and dreams to come to fruition. And that is why when we look at the leadership is I want to make sure that we live in vision. Leading through vision, not fear. So I started with fear because when we talk about vision, I asked you this question. What are your one or two biggest projects or goals that you need to achieve this quarter? As I record this quarter one of 2025, what is it that you need to achieve right now? And focus like mad on those one or two things that you want to do. Otherwise, what happens? You get overwhelmed with anxiety. Heck, you just get overwhelmed with everything of busyness and you end up doing nothing because you're so busy doing everything. So, how do you maintain steady progress? I do want to share an exercise. I've shared it before, and I've shared it in a lot of my coaching programs and sessions. But um, it's one thing to share it; it's another thing to do it. And I make my coaching sessions like this is mandatory. If they're not doing it, you can't expect change to happen. But if you do these things, I learned this many, many moons ago. It's called the 90-day wonder. The 90-day wonder. I give homage to my man, Wayne Cotton, who taught me this many moons ago. Now, maybe you heard me talk about it, but I want to ask you the question, are you doing it every quarter? Are you doing it every quarter where you sit down for an hour and a half and you do your 90-day wonder? And the 90-day wonder is this. What have you accomplished in the last 90 days? What are your current obstacles, challenges, and issues that you're currently facing? So, what are those current obstacles, issues, and challenges that you face? And what are going to be the things that you're going to achieve in this next 90 days, this next quarter that you now face? If you did that on the first of every month, along with your 10 forms of wealth in 3 and 30, I do my 90-day wonder, 10 forms of wealth in 3 and 30 on the first of every month. And if you spend 2 hours of time, that's called blue sky time. Blue sky time is strategy time, strategic time. As it's said so many times, are you working on your business or on your career, or are you working just in your business or just in your career? You got to work on your life and on when you're strategizing about that. So the 90-day wonder, those 3 questions are absolutely essential when it comes to your 90-day wonder. And again, thank you, Wayne Cotton, because for the last 2 decades, guys, gals, this is what I've been doing. Are you going to always achieve them? No. Many times the second question is where my I get 2-3 pages of all my issues I have to deal with. And like, man, I can't deal with all the issues and adversities and challenges I have to. But you can certainly prioritize them, put them on paper. Don't just have them in your head. We have too many things going on in our head between all of the duties that you have for your parenting, for your any philanthropic events, for your business, how you want to generate more revenue in your business, for ideas that you have. When you get it on paper, it's almost cathartic when you get it down on paper. And all of a sudden you prioritize and say these 3, 4, 5, 7 things that you do. And then you get it down to 1 or 2 must do's, and you focus the majority of your time on those things that only you can do. Watch how your world changes. And a special example of that, I'm going to give a shout out, a very special man. His name is Costas Cheliotis. I've mentioned him before, but he's a gentleman who I've been coaching now for over a decade. He's extremely successful. If you have not listened to episode 226, 226, listen to episode 226. I'll put that in the show notes as well. But I give kudos to Gus because not only has he learned to do it himself, and he's extremely maniacally disciplined to do that, Gus has been leading his team. And he's got a very big team of people who help him in his world. He's in the financial services world, but he's taken the principles that I have shared with the people whom I coach into the financial services world, and he does them both personally and professionally without fail. By the way, without fail, he does this. And the amount of success that they have had over the last 5 to 7 years is unrecognizable. It's incredible. And pretty soon you'll be reading about him in the Wall Street Journal on what his company is doing. But man, this guy is extreme disciplined at doing the things that are necessary, like the 90-day wonder. It's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to do it. So what is it? And besides Gus, a lot of my good friends and folks who I work with and coach do these exercises. But I also think these are visionaries. These are leaders. And if you're a visionary, like when I talk about here in number 3 is, your vision and what you're going to do to be led by vision and not by fear. I think of even other icons, the Walt Disneys of the world, a visionary, Steve Jobs, a visionary, and Elon Musk, a visionary. I mean, how many visionaries can you think of? There's a ton. As a matter of fact, feel free to you probably know 5 visionaries personally in your own life that you work with in some way, shape, form, or other, and you may be a visionary as well. But if you get caught in the weeds of always doing all of the mundane, then you can't live in that space to operate as a visionary. And that's an important aspect. Why? Because when you're doing visionary work, this actually boosts morale. It excites you. It gets your dreams going, right? And it gives you specific direction where either your company is headed or your career is headed. If you don't own the company, it may be where your career is headed, and it drives growth. It drives growth. So being and living in that vision, it boosts the morale. It gives you that mindset of where you're headed, and it drives the growth. So why do you always think I'm so excited? Like, guys, you got to be in the room for this live event. Be in the room. Be in the room. And while I can't give you dates today as this drops of our next live event, it's coming real soon, like in the next couple of weeks. Just be in the room, and that's where the magic happens. So my prompt for you here is this. What's the main vision that you want for your team? What is it? What is it you want for your team? What is it you want for your business? Heck, maybe it's for your family. Maybe your time and energy right now is allocate to your family, and there's nothing wrong with having a visionary statement for your family and personal life as well as your business, right? So have that visionary statement just even around this quarter, these next 90 days in Q1 here. So my action step for you is this. Can you please write a concise visionary statement and share it with at least one person in your cohort who will make this and take you accountable for what you put down on paper. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a mentor. Heck, maybe it's me. Maybe you want to DM me or text me over on my community text. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Please be on that text message so we can get some great content out to you. But write the concise vision statement and live it. Print it out. Put it next to your computer and see it. Because when I say boost morale, who else needs a morale boost? Anyone? Anyone else need an energy boost? Hey, TD, I need a little energy boost. Yeah. Make sure we're real clear with where we're going, or at least your vision of where you want to go, because some people have a cloudy vision of that, and that's okay. But when you have a dream, your dream should ignite you and energize you to help you get you to where you want to go. So let's make sure that we're led by vision and not by fear.